Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining Zuper integration with Zoho session. So I have my co-founder Vijay Narsimhan on the call as well. So he's experienced technical and in management with focus on the enterprise software and business strategy and organizational performance as well. So over to you, Vijay.
Great. Thank you for the introduction. Let me share my screen. Give me a moment. Hope everyone is able to see my screen. Great. Uh, Good evening, everyone. I am Vijay Narasimhan. I am Chief Architect at Zuper, and we are excited here today to walk you through the Zoho suite of integrations. We have some powerful integration with Zoho suite of applications and showcase how you can leverage the power of field service platform with Zoho line of business applications to enable your customers to deliver exceptional services. Yeah, so these are the set of integrations that we have with Zoho. To give you a quick introduction about Zoho and Zuper, with several million users and powering hundreds of thousands of business, Zoho needs no introduction. Despite being a young player in the field service industry, Zuper has provided to be a technology advanced and open platform, enabling business to empower the field team and to provide unmatched last mile service experience. Now, with the power of both, your customers can remove the silos and seamlessly connect your favorite Zoho apps with Zuper and reduce manual work on disconnect systems, saving thousands of hours every year. Zuper has brought in first class integrations with your favorite Zoho apps, including the beloved CRM to handle the services, installation, inspection for your leads or contacts, Zoho Inventory to handle the consumption of the parts from your field team. Then we have integration with Zoho Projects to convert any task or issues to a work order directly in Zuper. Then we have integration with Zoho Calendar that allows you to keep track of all the scheduled work in one place. Then we also have integration with Zoho People that allows your field team to input your day in, day out, time off, and timesheet within Zuper and which syncs with the Zoho People. So as you can see, it provides one place where the field team can do their end-to-end activities, and with help of Zoho Suite application, we will sync everything. So first, let's dig dive into Zoho CRM integration. Zoho CRM integration with Zoho CRM, you can connect your CRM and Zuper and enables your customers to manage your entire sales lifecycle uh, with the integration in place, starting with seamlessly booking a field visit right within the deal. All the information from the deal, including the custom fields, the contacts, or any other information that are required, can be synced to Zuper system. We do provide a very deep integration with different modules, including contacts, accounts, deals, codes, etc. We also have recently brought an integration with products, sites, activities. You can set up sync across accounts and contacts with Super organization, and we have a list of following integrations that are available for Zoho CRM. The first being pushing the accounts to organization in Zuper, pushing contacts as customer in Zuper. Then we have a quotation that are available in Zoho CRM, which can be either pushed as a direct job in Zuper, or what we have seen is the line items within the quotation each defines an individual service which can be done in a different manner. In this case, the each line items within the quotation in Zoho CRM will be pushed as a separate job in Zuper. Then we have the default Zoho deal as job in Zuper. Then we have Zoho sales order that can be pushed to sale as an invoice or estimate in Zuper, or as well as a job in Zuper. Then we have the basic products that are available in Zoho CRM that syncs up with the Zuper. Then we have codes that can be pushed as codes with the relation of the deals which are pushed as a jobs in Zuper. Then we have sites as properties in Zuper. Then we also have seen where there are cases where dealer actually one-off services, but in some cases the dealer actually in contract that they get approval from the customer. In this case, the Zogo deal is actually pushed as a contract in Zuper, and any subsequent services for that contract can be actually scheduled within the Zuper. Then we also have seen where businesses just want the information of the accounts, and they don't usually use contacts. In this case, the accounts can also be pushed as a customer in Zuper, and the rest of the field related activities can be carried on within Zuper. Then there are cases where the deal is actually pushed as a multiple jobs in Zuper. Let's say for installation, even before doing the actual work, the technician goes to the place, do the inspection, get some readings, and then do the installation as a second job. And we have a lot of other one-off integrations that we have done with Zoho CRM. Then we have Zoho Inventory integration. With Zoho Inventory, like we have a two-way integration between Zuper and Zoho Inventory. So any items that are created in Zoho Inventory gets pushed to Zuper system. Similarly, any items that are created within Zuper will be pushed back to Zoho system. And there are consumption of the parts. That's where the main integration for Zoho Inventory kicks in. The field technician during the course of the job may actually use some of the parts or maybe products and so on. And this information again gets pushed onto Zoho Inventory. And we also make sure that the warehouses in Zuper matches with the warehouses in Zoho. Yeah, so this is the integration with Zoho Inventory that we have. Then with Zoho Books, uh, we allow seamlessly integrating the invoices and quotations that are going to be created by your field team to Zoho Books system.
Vijay, we
And
have a question.
yes.
Yeah. So they're asking whether in Zoho inventory will it sync, on transactions.
Yes, that's right. So the transaction again happens both ways. In Zuper, there is option to create inward transaction, outward transaction. This is a simple inventory that we have in Zuper. This pushes to Zoho inventory, and in Zoho inventory, there is a complex process where you can create a PO, create a quotation, and then actually input the items within the Zoho inventory, which are again essentially a transaction. It can be inward transaction or outward transaction. In any cases, this information actually flows back to Zoper. Yes, it's a two-way integration that we have at Zoho Inventory. Great. Um, Great. Any other question or can I continue?
Yeah,
Okay.
you can continue.
Okay, great. So then here the quotations are first created in Zuper. The information goes to Zoho Books, and the status update of the quotation can happen again anyway, any place actually. So the status can be updated either in Zuper or it can be updated in Zoho. And once the quotation is approved, the quotation can be converted to an invoice within Zuper. This usually is done by the field team since they are in the field with the customer. Once they get the approval from the customer, they immediately convert it to an invoice from the Zuper Pro mobile app, which actually syncs the invoice to Zoho Books system. And so after that, the payment can either be collected from Zuper with the help of Stripe integration that we have that allows us the field technician to seamlessly share the link or collect the payment through the card directly from Zuper Pro app, which pushes all the information right from the transaction ID, the amount that was paid by the customer to Zoho Books. And similarly, the information that are in case if they don't want the payment or status update to happen with the Zuper. In this case, the finance team can actually take care of the payments and the status update directly in the Zoho Books, which is going to push the information to Zuper. Yeah. So this is with regards to the Zoho Books integration that we have. Let's move on to Zoho Projects integration.
Vijay, before that, we got another question as well. So Wajid was asking, in Zoho Books, is it integration also two-way? Uh, you know,
So the out of box integration that we have, the statuses are two-way in both quotation and invoices, and the line items are actually one way. But we have done some one-off integration for some of the customers where even any updates that are happening in the invoices or quotations in Zoho Books does push the information to Zuper. But usually the suggestion here is to have Zoho Books as the finance master, because we don't want the invoices or quotation created in the Zoho Books to be pushed to Zuper. Only the invoices that are created by the field technician to be pushed to Zoho Books. Yeah, but essentially we have done some integration that allows both ways. Okay, great. Um, shall I continue?
So,
Okay, great. So with Zoho Projects integration, there are uh, each individual project, and within the project there might be multiple individual tasks, or there might be issues that are raised within the Zoho projects, and the user can decide which issues or which task that need to be done by the field technician. And once there is a checkbox there which is pushed to Zuper, and it creates a job in Zuper with the respective category. And once a job is created, again, the rest of the field related activities can be done in Zuper. And as the job progresses through each steps, let's say the job is marked as started, then the started status is updated to the Zoho task. And similarly, if the job then moves on to the on my way or completed stage, all the information or the status information especially moves on to the Zoho projects, where the task is also moved to the respective stage. This way, the team, whoever is managing the project, may not actually log into Zuper, but rather use Zoho projects itself to keep track of the status of the task or issues. And when the job is getting created, all the necessary information, right from the due date, the any additional fields or the contact information, the account information, the address information, all are again getting pushed to Super.
we have another question before we go for the next slide. Perry was asking whether talking about Zoho Suite in CRM, so how that works and property, it's Zuper.
Zogo Suite with okay, so Zogo CRM integration. How does property syncs with Super? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have properties that are not a out-of-box module in Zoho. As many of you know, Zoho allows customizing the entire module, entire layout altogether, which actually creates, which even though there are some models that are available out of the box, we have seen cases where the customer themselves create an entirely new module. And we have the capability essentially to push these modules to any module within Super. The property module in this case here is actually the different addresses or different locations of a particular businesses. And similarly, in Zuper, we do have out-of-box module called properties. We sync the property model from Zogo to property model in Super. Um,
Okay,
does that
another
answer your
question
question?
as well, which is Wajid was asking of the task within Zoho project, whether it's mapped, in job categories in Zuper.
Sorry, I couldn't get you. Could you repeat that again?
Wajid was asking how the task within the Zoho project, whether it's mapped with the job categories in Zuper.
Yes. So there we have two different options of mapping the categories. One way is the categories can be essentially the milestones. For example, let's say there is a solar installation project. It may not be directly an installation, but rather they would have broken it to milestones. There can be inspection, which is a milestone. There will be, let's say, delivery of the products or manufacturing of the product, which will be a milestone, and then the delivery, and then the installation. These milestones are usually considered as a category for pushing the jobs to Zoper. But we do have the option in case where you can create a custom field within each task, and you can define this is the category that I want the task to be pushed as. That is also a possibility. Okay. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay, great. So next, I would like to quickly go over the Zoho Desk integration before actually jumping into the demo.
Sorry to stop you, Vijay. Another question we got it from, so can you see it here? Whether it's tasks, in Zoho project, is it mapped in jobs as well?
It's mapped with job.
Okay, got you.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So the task is, we push the task and the issues from Zoho projects as a job to Zuper.
Got you.
Yeah. So essentially, if you take Zoho projects, the each individual task are the actual actionable items from a project perspective, and only these tasks or issues. Task is usually the actionable items that requires some of the task may require to be done by the field team. That's where it gets pushed as a job with Zuper. And there are cases where, as the project is going on, let's say there is an inspection done, like we discussed, and in the inspection there might be some fields that are missed out, and there are cases that this happens where the field are messed up or had some incorrect information. Only after the field technician actually reaches back to the office and they do the analysis of the uh, measurements that are collected by the field team, they will identify, okay, so maybe this data is not correct one, or maybe we miss collecting one of the information, and that's where they may require a revisit to the job. In that case, it's not actually created as a task but rather created as an issue within Zoho projects. Zoho projects does have the capability, and these issues are again pushed to the Zuper. And while pushing these issues to Zuper, it is actually mapped to a separate category altogether called issues. So this is how we have seen Zoho projects and Zuper interact. Okay. Okay, can I move on?
Yes, Vijay.
Okay, great. So before actually jumping into the demo, I would also like to quickly walk over the Zoho Desk integration. With Zoho Desk integration, um, let's say there is a ticket that is present in your Zoho Desk that again requires field visit. These tickets are usually from the customer who raises an email or maybe calls a call center, and that is going to be created as a ticket within your Zoho Desk. And the ticket, we have the option whether, in case if the ticket is cases where the support technicians are themselves able to solve, it's going to end within Zoho Desk. But in case where the tickets need to be raised as a job where it requires field visit, in that case, again, similar to Zoho projects, we simply have a button, push this to Zuper. And after clicking the button, that's it. The ticket is converted to a job in Zuper, and all the information right from the contact, the email, and uh, the description of the issue, the title of the issue, the addresses, all the information pushes to the Zuper. And we also have the option of pushing the notes that are added by the support team as a notes to Zuper. So that way, when the field technician or even the back office team actually looks into the job, they do not they do not only see the title and the description of the issue, but rather they see the entire content, all the notes or conversations that happen with the customer, and all the notes and attachments within Zuper. And once any updates that are happening in Zuper, let's say again the field technician goes to the place and resolves the issue, and usually there is a step where they take a picture of the respective site, and this information again get pushed back to Zoho Desk. And we also push other normal fields like assigned user, the date of job, and the status, and so on. Yeah, so this is how the Zoho Desk and Zuper interacts. Now, I would like to walk you through one of a similar customer scenario for solar installation, right from Zoho CRM to Zuper to Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory. Let me go to a deal. Yeah, so we have already created a deal here, which is in qualification stage, and what we already have a contact link to the deal. We have a deal name. We have the stage of the deal, closing date, and other information. The first step for the deal here is I am going to give a date here called inspection due date, and I'm going to give the date as September 30th, or maybe let me change it to 1st of October, and update the stage here to need analysis. So before actually going into the demo, I would like to quickly highlight the different how the entire flow is going to be. So this is a typical solar installation use case. There is a deal, obviously there is a contact. The contact has a deal within Zoho CRM, and once the deal is there, there are two different stages for the completion of the entire installation. The first step is obviously going to be the inspection scenarios, where the job is going to be created in Zuper. A field technician is assigned, goes to the site, collects all the information, and marks the job as completed. And once this is done, the information flows to Zoho CRM. Then there are rest of other process, right from manufacturing, delivering of the solar roofs, and so on. And finally, it comes to the installation stage. When it comes to the installation stage, again, the stage of the deal here is marked as installed, and it is actually going to create a job in Super of a different category for the same deal. And again, the installation happens. Installation can be multi-day, single day, and all the items are handled within Zuper. The required information, like the assigned user, when the job is scheduled for, what is the current stage of the job, and is pushed back to Zoho. And once the job is completed, the inspection job is completed, then the information like the after pictures or any notes that are entered by the technician are going to push back to Zoho CRM. So this is the flow between Zoho CRM and Zuper. Now here during the course of the installation, there might be some additional requirement that comes in. So usually in service businesses, it's quite common when you're actually doing some work, the customer may come and say, okay, why don't you also do other work? Maybe add more battery capacity to this and so on. So during this case, usually the service business does that, but they also raise an invoice to the customer or quotation to the customer, gets a quotation approved, and then writes the invoice to the customer. And this invoice is going to get pushed to Zoho Books. Then we have consumption here, essentially the battery, let's say the additional battery is requested by the customer. This consumption, as soon as like it's added in the invoice and sent to the customer, this consumption is also going to get pushed to Zoho Inventory. Now, this is a deal that we have already created, and I have moved the stage to need analysis. Now, if I go to Zuper, I should see a job being created here. Yes, I can see the job is created here, and within the job, there are different information that you can see here, right from the customer, which is pushed from Zoho. Um, then we have the addresses. If it is entered in the Zoho, it is going to be seen here. Then we have the due date, the schedule date, and the user that is assigned here, and so on. Now the job is usually assigned and it moves on to the different stage. Now let me update the status of this job to started, and just click on submit here. This is again going to push the information back to Zoho CRM.
Vijay, we got a question actually.
Yes.
So, is two different job can be created in the same deal? So that's the question.
Yes, that's right. So here in this case, we are actually going to create two different jobs. One is for the inspection job, and another is an installation job. Once the inspection job is completed, then the installation job gets started. Yeah. So you can see here the status of the job is actually pushed back to Zoho CRM here, and we can see the inspection due date and other informations. Now, let me go on to the installation phase. Let's say the inspection job is completed, and there are a bunch of other flows that are set within the Zoho CRM, which are unique to each of the individual businesses. Now, let me go directly to the installation job. As soon as I click on the installation, uh, we have a workflow set it up here, which is actually going to create an installation job altogether. So it usually takes a minute or two for the jobs to be created. Yeah, so I can see the job created here. It is going to have the same customer information, same account information, the addresses, and so on, and the due date and any other date information that we enter within the Zoho CRM is going to be passed on to here. So now let me schedule this job. Schedule the job to 23rd, 9 a.m. to 23rd, 5 p.m. And I will assign a user as well. Let me assign Jonah Johnson, and I will now update the status as on my way. Now all this information should be pushed back to Zoho CRM, um, Zoho CRM under the same deal, but we have defined it as under a different section altogether here. Let me refresh this. Yeah, I can see the statuses here. I can see the job ID, and I can also see the Zuper assigned user, Jonah Johnson, and also the respective team here, London Team 1. Now, let me go back to Zuper job. Now, the case that I mentioned where there is going to be on-demand service or on-demand consumables that are used in the job. Let me add a part here. So I will add the part as
Vijay, we got another question before that from Perry. So he was asking about, what happens if FE sent to Zuper invoice to the customer from Zuper and the customer pays electronically? What will happen to the Zoho invoice? That was a question.
okay. Yes. So in case if the payment is being collected by the from within Zuper uh, using Stripe or here electronically, it can be is it a net banking or any other items, it's going to be handled separately. But if it is done through Stripe where the customer just sent us the card and does the payment, the first payment status within the super invoice is going to get updated to paid, and the same information right from the time the transaction was done and the transaction ID that is uniquely generated by the Stripe system, and all other in case if there are any remarks that are entered, all this information gets pushed to Zoho Books as a payment entry, and also the status of the invoice in Zoho Books get updated to paid.
Thanks, Vijay.
Great. Yeah, so I am now adding a product or part consumables here, which is battery terminal 250 kilowatt, and it is for Redmond warehouse. I will add this product, and once this product is added, um, even before completing the job, there might be an invoice created from job directly here. So for the purpose of demo, I am doing everything from the web app. But whatever you see now in the web app is also available for Zuper Pro, that is the technicians app. So all the informations are going to be copied over here. Yeah, I'm yeah. So the due date, I will mark the due date as 24. Then we have other information. Yeah, you can see the line item that was added in Zuper is showing up here, and the quantity that I have added here is 2. Let me save this invoice. As soon as I save this invoice, the invoice get immediately pushed to Zoho Books. Let me go to the Zoho Books here. Go to invoice section. Yeah. So, and even before the Zogo Books gets loaded, I will take you to the inventory to show you the battery terminal that we have added in Zuper. And you can see the current stock of the Redmond warehouse is 92. If I do a refresh after the invoice is marked as paid, the current stock of battery terminal in Redmond warehouse should come to 90. Let me, yeah, the Zogo Books is loaded now. Let me go to the Zogo Books invoice section. Yes, you can see the invoice is created here. All the information that are entered in Zuper is going to flow on here, right from the line items, the addresses, the customer, the due date, the quantity, and so on. So now let me go back to the Zuper invoice and mark the status as skip send and make payment. So you can see the payment mode here. So if the payment mode can be an offline payment or a cash payment, which can be marked here, and you can enter the payment that was done by the customer and when the payment was done in case if it is done uh, as for the older dates. In case if we have the Stripe integration available here, then the field technician can directly within a click collect the payment if the customer has already entered the card. If not, if it is a new customer, there will be a payment link generated here, which can be shared to the customer, through which customer can enter the card details and do the payment. Let me mark the status of the invoice as paid. Now, if I go back to the Zoho Books, it should show the status as paid. Yes, you can see the status of invoice here in Zoho Books marked as paid, and the balance due is zero. Yeah, payment made 350. Yes, so you can see all the information here. Now I will go to the Zoho inventory and see the updates. See if the consumption of the items have been done. Yes, the Redmond warehouse, the stock got reduced. Yeah. So now let me come back to the job within Zuper. So in this job, let me update the status of the job as completed, and let me add some pictures here. Add the completion notes as completed. I'll submit this checklist information. Now this information is going to go back to Zoho CRM under the Zoho Zuper installation job category. It usually takes a couple of minutes for it to reflect. Yeah. So, and the information that I just entered here, the images or the completed notes that can again be seen from here after clicking on the view checklist, you can view the attachment or any information that was entered. And the same, sorry, go ahead.
Vijay, before that, we got another question from Michael McKenna from Smart Club. So he was asking, can we push the invoice from Zuper to ZBooks with the status of for approval so that it can be approved by a finance team before it's sent it?
Oh, we here we don't have integration with ZBooks. I'm not aware of that tool. We do have integration with Zoho Books, and we have integration with QuickBooks. That's something we may need to explore from our end. Maybe we can take this discussion offline and understand what is the use case here and figure out how that can be bring in as part of
I,
integration.
I think he's asking about Zoho Books.
Oh, okay, got it. So Zogo Books, yes, we do have the integration. Like I just demonstrated, the invoice that are created or estimates that are created, that is the quotation, are going to be pushed to Zogo Books under estimates and quotation. So here, the question was about the approval process. Is that right? Uh, is the question, I guess, about the approval process for the quotation?
Exactly, the approval process and the status of that.
Okay, got it. So both quotations and invoices that are created from Zuper gets pushed to Zoho Books as estimates and invoices, and the status update can happen both way. They can mark the quotation as accepted or sent from Zogo Books or from Zuper. Wherever it is updated, the same status is going to be updated to the other system. Similarly, for the invoices, the invoice can be marked as sent, or it can be marked as paid, where the payment is collected, or it can be marked as cancelled. In all these stages, the any updates that happen in any of the system, it's actually going to push the information to other system. Does that answer the question?
Thanks, Vijay.
Okay, awesome.
And he was
Uh,
asking about the status. What about the status? Approval status?
so approval status, yes. In case if there is a approval hierarchy that you have kept in Zuper, that information can be passed on to Zuper. Here, in this case, the approval is going to be handled in Zogo Books, right? So yes, the status in Zogo Books get pushed to Zuper.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, let me go back to the deal here, do a quick refresh and see if the images is sent back to the Zoho CRM. Yeah, yeah, I can see the notes that I have entered as completed, and I can also see the image URL that is available here. So in case if there are multiple images, we have done integrations where the images are going to be as images in Zoho instead of just an URL. And these are again configurable. Like in Zuper, we do have extensive app store in place, and we also have webbook and APIs in place, which allows you to pull in or push in any information that are required based on the customer needs. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the end-to-end flow of a customer. Just to recap, what we have done here is we created a deal uh, in Zoho, and the deal has two stages. The first stage is inspection stage, and for the inspection stage, there was a job created in Zuper, and the job created in Zuper is that there are updates that happens on the job created in Zuper, and once the job is completed, the information right from the status, the assigned user when the job was done is pushed back to Zoho CRMD, and once this is done, the deal again moves on to the next set of stages. And when the installation of the solar roof are actually required, then the stage here within Zoho CRM is marked as installed, which actually creates a separate job altogether in Zuper. And again, within Zuper, there are different flows that can be customized or configurable, and the each business has their own set of flows, and the field technician or the back office team goes through the entire flow. And during the course of the job, there might be a consumable or there might be additional service requests that are required by the customer, and for that there is going to be a separate invoice that is going to be created in Zuper, and this invoice is going to be first pushed to Zoho Books, and the items that we have added in the invoice is the actual consumption of the inventory, right? So this consumption reflects both in Zuper as well as in Zoho Inventory. Then the next step here is the updates on the invoice, status updates on the invoice. The invoice updates can happen in either places. Now we updated in Zuper where it is marked as paid, and we saw that same information, the status got synced to Zoho Books as well. Then coming back to the job, the invoice is marked as paid. Now the job is marked as completed, and while marking the job as completed, there are some information that can be collected by the business depending on the use cases. And this information, or maybe an image or just a simple notes, this can be pushed back to the Zogo deal, and it's not going to rewrite the information that is entered by the previous job, but rather it is going to be pushed into a totally different section, like you are seeing here. Yeah, so this is an end-to-end flow of a deal. And one other thing I missed here is, as soon as like the job is completed in Zuper, we have set up a workflow within Zogo, which also marks the deal of the stage of the deal to be marked as completed. Yes, close star one. So yeah, so this is entire life cycle of how a solar roof installation company operates. Now I will open the forum up for questions. Yeah, so I see a question here from Israel. So you've asked whether the jobs, you're asking that the jobs are replacing the sales order, and if we have considered the possibility that parts on work as a engaged stock. Okay, so the consumption of the stock does happens. We have that as a configurable option within Zuper, where you can define when where the consumption needs to happen. If it needs to happen on the invoices, or if it needs to happen on the quotation, or even as soon as like the information is added in the job, you want that to be considered as a consumption. That's when the consumption happens. In case if the consumption in case after the job we found that there are additional stock that are left in the truck, that can always be on a status update, the stock can be transferred to the existing warehouse. Okay, great. So if there aren't any questions, can we conclude the session, Agassi?
That's it, Vijay. We got all the questions.
Okay, great. Thank you everyone for joining. Hope you stay with us for the rest of the sessions. Have a
Thank
good
you
day.
so much,
Bye.
Vijay. Thanks, everyone.